let's talk a little bit more about the Soul Stone. Greetings, true believers! Yes, welcome back guys, Mr. Rawlings here, got another video on the Soul Stone and the whole Infinity War business. I did a video not so long ago about the fact that the Time Stone was revealed, of course, in Doctor Strange. It's in the Eye of Agamotto, or the necklace, and the whole Thanos spelling out each individual object, or at least housing device or thing, of which is being holding a stone at the moment that we know about. And the theory there seemed to hold water because the M was necklace and all the other bits fit just, totally fine. But the one thing we're not sure about is what the H stands for, and that's for the Soul Stone. Now my theory was on the fact that it could be Heimdall, which isn't an object, but as we know, the Aether wasn't an object either, and that was one of the letters. It was actually like this weird viscous material which holds the power of the stone. So I was, stretching to the fact that it could be that he's like the housing of the stone. Maybe it's imbued in him in some way, or whatever it is, and that's why he's got his powers and that kind of thing. And I of course said, any comments below of what else you think it could be to do with, beginning with H, let me know, and you didn't disappoint me. You gave quite a few things. Some of them I've already heard, and some of them I've already sort of pushed away already and didn't really think they deserved much to talk about. But there's a few more points now where even some of those I think need to be talked about, and a couple of things which I didn't think of myself, and I'm like, oh right, that's actually making quite a lot of sense. So let's discuss those. Now, 2 of these 3 new theories of what the H could stand for revolve around Norse mythology, and so most likely it does still point to it being revealed in Thor Ragnarok. But the first one I'll talk about is actually Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, originally I just completely dismissed Spider-Man because I didn't really think it would make much sense to bring out and reveal a stone in that world. But I think it's worth mentioning still, so I will quickly go into it now. So we now know for sure that the Vulture will feature in Spider-Man Homecoming, and that is where we think we might see the use of the stone. And that's because the Vulture, and specifically Adrian Toomes' version, has like this ability sometimes where he's seen to suck the life force out of people. And of course the way he flies around is via a harness, so that's the H, and he's often seen wearing a helmet, so again that's the H. So it stands to reason that maybe somehow his harness or helmet or both are powered in some way by a soul stone, which gives him the ability to, like I say, drain the life force out of people, making himself young again, and that's, using their soul or something like that. The reason for me of why I still don't think this will be the case, apart from the fact that Spider-Man's only just popped in, and it's a strange one to all of a sudden give him quite an important thing happening in his Homecoming movie, and that's because I just don't see how Adrian Toomes has got a soul stone. Like, they're going to have to explain it quite well, because all the other times, it's someone really powerful and in something really powerful, and it took like a lot of effort to get hold of it. So for example, we had the Tesseract, and that took basically the entire Nazi army and the Red Skull to get hold of it, and even when the Red Skull tried to hold the cube, the Tesseract holding the thing that had the stone inside, even that was a little bit too hot for him to handle. So, these things need to be controlled by someone really powerful, and, they're quite difficult to control, if you're just a standard guy. Because then, of course, we've got the Time Stone, and that's in the Eye of Agamotto, and that's protected by, basically, the mystical defenders of the universe, isn't it? So, again, controlled quite well. We had the Aether, and that was really easy to get hold of. It only took the King of the Dark Elves. The Mind Stone was inside the scepter that Thanos gave to Loki, so not just a standard, oh here you go, you can have a stone. It's again quite well controlled and with powerful individuals. And of course it now resides in Vision, who, remember, is worthy enough to pick up Mjolnir, so, and also I'll mention him later actually. So again, these people need to be something special.
I would reconsider your current course.
Master, you cannot. Thanos is the most powerful being in the universe.
Not anymore.
Whereas Adrian Toomes is basically just a crook, isn't he? So it doesn't really make much sense that he either A, found it and can use it, or was given to him. Like, why pick him? Doesn't really make much sense to me. But I could be completely wrong, and we will obviously find out eventually. So then this leads me on to 2 more theories, and I think these are more likely to be the case. And the first is Hela. Now we know that Hela will now be in Thor Ragnarok, so that's a big tick to begin with, because that's where we are kind of thinking it will be revealed anyway. And if we extend the H representing a housing rather than an animate object, then of course Hela still stands there, and that works like it did for Heimdall. But this is where I don't think it has to be that. It again can be an object, because there's a few things that it could be. Now Hela, if you didn't know, is basically like the queen of Hell, H-E-L, Hell, and I think she's also Niflheim, is that correct? It's like the world, like the mist world, the dark world basically. And she's often trying to get power of Valhalla as well. And she basically has control of souls in Hell. They're bad guys usually because they've gone down there. And she wears this big hat thing which is H, and it's got these crazy horns on there which again is H. So it could be that somehow she's got the power in that hat. But even better than that, and someone did mention this, there's the horn of Hela. Now that sounds a bit fruity, but bear with me. It's this thing that you can see, or you can see here actually. It can control her like skeleton army or her undead army. Now in the movie it could be that the souls are controlled by this horn, rather than like it being a stone in her hat or something like that, which again could still work. And that is where the power could be. The soul stone could be in this object, which begins with H, and that's how it controls souls. So lots and lots of ticks here. However, the reason why I don't think this makes much sense is because why have we not heard about this before? Hela, the Asgardians will surely know exists because they know about Hell and Niflheim and Valhalla. They know these realms, and we've never ever heard Thor or anyone else mention Hela and the fact that she's got this soul stone, because surely they would know that she's got a soul stone, right? I mean, usually, at least in the comics, she's only the Queen of Hell because Odin let her be. So would Odin really go, oh yeah, you can be the Queen of Hell, keep you out of mischief a little bit, and obviously you need to control the soul, so here's an Infinity Stone? Why would he do that? He knows she's a bit of a wrong'un. Why would he give her the power of an Infinity Stone, knowing that she could one day go all mental and try and kill people? To me, that does not make sense. It just seems, the Asgardians know about these Infinity Stones. They know they're keeping at least one in Asgard. Why wouldn't they have mentioned ever before that there's one not far away, not far away, you know what I mean, next realm, being controlled by Hela, which is probably related somehow to an Asgardian. I mean, in the comics it's the daughter of Loki and like a frost giant. It just seems really random that they wouldn't know about it. So then this comes on to my final theory, and I think this one out of the 3 I believe the most. Second, I would say the Hela theory. I believe that's second most, and these two are on par with Heimdall in the in the scheme of what I think will be it. I'm gonna sit on the fence because I can't really pick between these now. They're that good, but I'm gonna come down to H being for hammer. Yes, guys, right under our very noses from the beginning, pretty much. Thor has got Mjolnir, is a hammer, and I think the stone could be inside that. Now, I've already heard this theory before. I didn't bother mentioning it because it's a little bit obvious, but actually I will mention it because there's a few more reasons why it's worth highlighting and the evidence should be shown as to why we think that maybe it's just literally in his hammer. So, there are a lot of reasons why this one makes sense. Again, it's the whole thing of it being right under our noses from very early on and then revealed only right at the last minute, which is something you can imagine them doing. Tick! The hammer itself is pretty much indestructible. It was formed or forged in the Dying Star using some special people doing some hammering of the metal Uru, which is like an indestructible metal. And it took all that heat to manage to forge it, so who's to say when they were melting it down and making this special weapon that Odin didn't go whoop, and put a stone in the middle of it. He's like, guys, you're making that hammer, that's really cool. I know a best place to hide this Infinity Stone inside that hammer. I'm not going to tell anyone. You guys can't know. In fact, I'm going to kill you afterwards, so you can't tell anyone ever again. It's going to be housed in this indestructible metal, and I'm going to give it to my ultra-powerful son, who's an Asgardian with great powers, and then I'm not even going to tell him. So it's going to be so protected, no one will ever know it's there. That is a great idea. Tick. Oh, and then what I'll also do to make it even better is I will enchant the hammer.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
So Soulstone's like, that's cool, he's enchanted me to do that. I will now detect the soul of who's wielding it to see if they're worthy. See? Makes sense, doesn't it? Tick. You also have to remember that although the hammer makes, or like uses like electricity or lightning, and that's not really a soul type of thing, is it really? It does give life to Vision. Now yes, it could just be that it overrid the system with loads of electricity and it was enough to power the guy up, but you could also maybe theorise that it wasn't just that it was the fact that it was electricity and power. Maybe it gave a bit of soul to this previously inanimate thing, which, you know, made Vision, because it had the time stone in it, the Mind Stone in there as well. So the Mind Stone's there, it feels the power of the Soul Stone, and it's like, yep, that's fine by me, I'm going to create this being, and then that being is also worthy of holding the hammer.
So there may be no way to make you trust me, but we need to go.
And that's because, as we know, the one thing that's really good at standing up to the power of an Infinity Stone is another Infinity Stone. So when it detects that it's Vision holding it, it knows he's got the Mind Stone and thinks, well, the Mind Stone is perfectly happy inside this being, he's powerful enough to control it, and he doesn't seem like a complete wrong'un. I'm going to let him wield me as well, because, you know, it just detects that power's there and it's all good. It's all good, all good things. So that's a tick. And remember, that's obviously how the gauntlet works. You know, you can have them all in one place. We know we've heard the Asgardians say we don't like them being in one place, but that's just because I think they don't want them to be easily stolen all at once. But you know, as long as the thing that's holding these stones is made well enough, it can have them there and they can all work in harmony. So because Vision had the Mind Stone, it doesn't mind having the Soul Stone connected to it as well via the hammer, because it's all working in harmony. Does that make any sense? I know it sounds a bit weird, but I think that makes sense. And coming back to the whole point of Infinity Stones being powerful enough to work with or against another Infinity Stone, we again see in Thor the Dark World that the hammer is actually quite good at standing up to the Aether. It was temporarily powerful enough to shatter the Aether coming out at one point and that kind of thing.
You know, with all that power, I thought you'd hit harder.
And with Thor wielding it, he stood up really well to Malekith, who's wielding the Aether. You know, they were going toe to toe and it was working quite well. So, you know, Infinity Stone versus Infinity Stone equals a bit of a stalemate. That makes sense to me. Tick. And finally, we know that it knows where Thor is, because we see even when he's going through dimensional rifts, it blasts off trying to find him again. Now how on earth, or the Nine Realms, would it know where he is? Or maybe it's latched onto his soul. So again, that's another tick. So I think out of these 3 additional ones, I think what it does mean is 2 of them to me seem like more realistic, and they again both point at the next Thor movie, which we've kind of thought it would be revealed in for a long time now. So I think it's almost certain it will be in that movie. It could be wrong, and someone said they think it'll be in a new movie because it's always been a new movie, like a new series of a movie. Whereas I don't think it really matters because all these movies tie in together and they all lead into one thing. So I don't think that's a strict rule they're sticking to. So I think it will be in Thor Ragnarok, and I think it will either be the Horn of Hela or something about Hela. Heimdall, as previously mentioned, but I think the one that's really on par with Heimdall for me is it could be the Hammer. So are there any other H's out there, guys, that you think this could be in which makes sense? Remember, there's not many movies left for it to be revealed in. I think it's going to be in Thor Ragnarok. I think it's either going to be Heimdall or the Hammer, possibly Hela, because it's a new person introduced and you can be like, oh, that's why we've not seen it yet. But like I say, I'm not sure it holds water because it seems weird that they would let her have it and it's not been mentioned before. But it could be her. So we will see in due course, and hopefully you enjoyed that video and agreed or disagreed with some of it, and obviously let me know what you did agree or disagree with. And that will about wrap up this video. So guys, that about do it. Click like if you like that, click subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you on the next video. And until then, remember, if you're not sure what thing to pick between, just sit on the fence like me. Okay, bye. Guys, if you're still here, you're awesome! But as you are still here, why not check out some of my other videos? Oh, and if you haven't already, please click subscribe. Laters, haters.